Hey y'all, I'm Tara.
I'm Jay,
And I'm Rora.
And we
and
are
we are
Seasoned
Seasoned
Voices.
Voices.
Three women.
3 generations.
One table.
So grab a chair.
Grab a plate.
And let's talk true crime.
All right. Tonight's episode is dark and unforgettable. We're going into the story of Joe Matheny, an American man from Baltimore whose rage, pain, and addiction created a nightmare that's haunted Maryland ever since Matheny was a serial killer.
Joe Matheny was born March 3rd, 1955, in Maryland. From the start, according to Matheny, his life was heavy. His father was an abusive drunk, and when Joe was only 6, his dad died in a car crash.
That left his mama trying to raise 6 kids alone. She worked all the time, long hours, night shifts to do this. According to Joe, his mother was often absent, working multiple jobs, allegedly sending him off to live with relatives or in foster arrangements because the family couldn't afford to keep him and she neglected him. That he was passed around and forgotten, which is why he later told his parents were dead.
But his mama told a different story. I'm going to keep messing up his name, bear with me. Matheny's mother, Jean Matheny, who was alive at the time of arrest and interviewed by reporters, disputed many of his claims. She said he was cared for, fed, loved. Sometimes how a child feels doesn't match how it's given. She described her son as being an intelligent and polite boy who had a pretty good home and a good childhood. She acknowledged there were some financial issues and that she had to work very hard to support her 6 children on her own, but insisted she did everything to keep them together. He never went hungry or was sent to live with other families as he had claimed. She felt that if he experienced neglect, she, quote, said it was his own fault. There are no public records to verify Matheny's claims of abuse.
Even so, he was smart. Teachers said he was light and bright. But by the time he joined the Army in 1973 at the age of 18, perhaps something in him had already cracked.
He told people he fought in Vietnam in an artillery unit and said that that's where he got hooked on heroin. However, his mother disputed this claim, stating he was actually stationed in Germany. The military said he never went there. Reports indicate that U.S. combat involvement in Vietnam had largely ended by the time he would have joined the Army, which makes his claims of serving there questionable. The exact circumstances and nature of his military records or discharge were not verified in public press reports.
And that might be the start of the lies, or maybe his own rewriting of his own pain. Either way, the man was drifting. And according to his mother, Matheny began drifting further and further away and really contacted his family after joining the Army, which marked the beginning of a decade-long period of no communication between them. Either way, in hindsight, his time in the military, regardless of the location, seemed to take a toll on him and contributed to his later struggles with substance abuse and mental illness.
And with no real support, those early wounds just kept bleeding inside him.
By 1994, Joe was working as a truck driver, living in South Baltimore with his girlfriend. Not his wife, though she is often referred to as his wife whenever you read reports and documents. And there with his 6-year-old son, whose name is not mentioned, I'm sure, because of his age. His girlfriend, who also struggled with a drug addiction and was on the road. Oh, sorry, y'all. I apologize. Which perhaps made it hard or easier for him to leave without his knowledge. I'm sorry. I'm going to clarify that statement only to say that I'm going to go back some. Bear with me. Again, we're still learning. So he was a long haul driver. So it's supposed that because he was a long haul driver, which required him to be away from home for a long time, that this has provided the wife or girlfriend with the opportunity to then leave with the daughter without him knowing until he would return home from the road.
Gotcha. But one day he came home and the house was empty. He believed that she had left him for another man and took to living on the streets with him. So when Matheny came home to an empty house, he flew into a rage. She left with their boy, gone without a trace.
Rumor was she was out using again, maybe with another man. That's when something in him snapped.
So instead of healing, he went to hunting.
Driven by the insatiable need for revenge, Matheny spent days desperately searching for them. checking under bridges where his girlfriend used to buy drugs. He searched under bridges and homeless camps looking for her, where he couldn't find her. He found two men he thought knew where she was.
When they couldn't or wouldn't tell him, he killed them with an axe, marking the beginning of his murder spree.
Wow. Immediately after the first two murders, Metheny allegedly noticed two fishermen nearby who might have witnessed the events. To eliminate the witness, Metheny claimed that he killed this fisherman as well, then panicked and dumped all three of those bodies into the Passaic River to hide the evidence.
3 people dead, just like that.
Well, that's when his humanity seems to have stopped existing.
Police arrested Metheny 2.5 weeks later for the murders of the two homeless men, Randall Brown and Randy Piker, that had been found on August 2nd, 1995. He spent a year and a half in county jail awaiting trial. However, because investigators could not find the bodies in the river, July 1996, he was acquitted of all charges due to lack of evidence. So they just let him go.
And once free, he fell deeper into the darkness. After his release, Metheny began preying on other vulnerable women, mostly sex workers and homeless individuals, luring them to his trailer with promises of drugs or shelter. This time, he began to dismember the bodies and store the meatiest parts in a freezer.
He started bringing women back to his trailer as well after this. Women struggling, lost, or looking for safety. Most likely, we're going to say women of the night, street workers. But when they couldn't tell him where his ex was as well, he killed them. He was just on a whole rampage at this point. He was avidly looking for his wife or girlfriend, his son. And as he came upon these different people, he seemed to take out his rage on them when we look back at it.
Damn. Then he did something beyond words. Metheny's most shocking confession was that he had cut up the bodies and stored the meatiest parts of his victims in a freezer, mixing the human flesh with beef and pork to make hamburgers and sandwiches. It was during this period that Metheny allegedly set up an open pit barbecue, stood by the side of the road, and sold these sandwiches and burgers to unsuspecting customers.
Oh, gosh.
He claimed no one could tell the difference in taste, and this claim was never forensically confirmed, but added to his gruesome legend.
That's wild, diabolical. Mixing pork and beef, it's nasty works.
And then selling it to people. I think from now on, I'll avoid any roadside stands.
Yeah, me too. Unless it's like a funnel cake or something. I don't think you could add any human flesh to that, right?
I hope not. He would then tell police later, the human body tastes like pork. Mix it right, no one can tell.
Can you imagine? People in the community, families, kids, eating food from that stand never knowing.
That's a different level of evil and dirty.
In December of 1996, one woman changed everything. Her name was Rita Kemper. After his final would-be victim, Rita Kemper managed to escape from his trailer and alert the police, leading to his final arrest and a detailed confession.
So Joe had tried to attack her, but she fought back and managed to escape his trailer. She ran barefoot through the street and found help.
When he would later be arrested on December 15th of 1996, he confessed to everything. He bragged, in fact, about killing at least 10 people, maybe more. His tape confession that would later be played for the jury in an emotionless, monotone voice, including a chilling lack of concern for the victims' identities. And when asked for the name of one victim, he simply replied, "Haven't a clue." In fact, one of the most gruesome details Metheny confessed to was performing sexual acts with the victim's severed and decomposing head. Ugh.
Yeah.
Wow. He used various methods, including strangulation and stabbing, before dismembering the bodies. During his sentencing hearing, Metheny just testified that he committed the murders because he enjoyed it and got a rush out of it. He had no real excuse why other than, "I like to do it." He stated he felt no remorse, and the words, "I'm sorry," would be a lie.
Yeah, those were exact quotes from him. So this is exactly what he said to be quoted. Like he didn't say "I'm sorry." He said, "I'm sorry. If I said it, it would be a lie." That's crazy. Like a man whose soul was long gone.
I thought he started because he was looking for his wife. So,
That's how he started. That's the crazy part, because it's like his excuse was that, I'm going to look for my wife and my son. And then he came upon these homeless men, and it's like, I don't understand why he would assume they did, because he went to where, he was known that she would buy drugs. But after that, then what was the point with the sex workers and the different ones? That was just excuses. I think that makes me question everything that he had to say. I guess when you're not in the right mode of thinking, you kind of, the facts be construed to fit your narrative of what you want it to be. I'm guessing. Not that it actually makes sense, because it doesn't.
well, he was convicted in 1997 of the murders of Kimberly Spicer and Kathy Ann Magaziner, whose remains were found buried at the pallet company where he worked. In the case of Kathy Ann, whose body was found in a shallow grave at the pallet factory where he worked, he returned to the burial site 6 months later to dig up and remove her skull. Which he then threw in a trash box. The forensic evidence presented in court confirmed his statement that he had buried Kathy's body unclothed in a separate location from her purse and clothing. This was done with the specific intent permanently to deprive her of her property and hinder identification. He was also convicted of kidnapping and sexual assault in the Rita Kemper case. Metheny was found guilty of kidnapping and attempted sexual assault. He received a 50-year sentence for these charges. He was acquitted of attempted murder in this case. For Spicer, in May of 1998, Metheny was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Kimberly. The murder of Kathy Ann in August 1998, Metheny pleaded guilty to the murder, robbery of Kathy. He chose to have a jury determine his sentence during the penalty phase.
The Maryland Court of Appeals later overturned that death sentence in 2000. The court ruled that the robbery occurred after the murder and was an afterthought, therefore not a sufficient aggravating factor to warrant the death penalty under Maryland law. He received a death sentence instead in 1998, which was later overturned on appeal and commuted to life imprisonment without parole. Metheny's sentences for both murders were ultimately commuted to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
He remained in prison serving these life sentences until 2017, when guards found Metheny in his cell dead from natural causes at the Western Correctional Institution in Maryland on August 5, 2017, at the age of 62. No struggle, just gone.
After all that pain, maybe that silence was the only ending left. The story isn't just about horror. It's about what happens when brokenness goes unchecked.
It shows how trauma and addiction can twist a person if they never find help.
And how rage can take the place of love if you let it.
So that's why we talk about this stuff, y'all, because even when life burns us, we can't season it with hate.
Well, thank you for listening to Seasoned Voices.
Next time, we'll be back with another story, maybe one a little easier on the stomach.
So y'all, stay safe, stay grounded,
and stay seasoned.
And stay seasoned, y'all. Thank you for listening. Remember to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. And we also accept critiques, ideas for thoughts, recipes, crimes that you would like us to cover.